All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Fred Wilson. I'll be the hearings officer for today's public hearing. This is the time set aside in the J. Conzer and Sons application. The file number is 20-009. Today is an opportunity for people to present testimony, to submit evidence, to make legal arguments. I don't make a final decision today. There'll be a later written decision that comes out after the record's been closed. There are a few things I have to talk about before every public hearing, whether there's 5 people here or 500, but I need to disclose whether I've had any ex parte contacts. That's any discussions about the merits of the case before today, and I haven't. The only thing I know about this case is what I've received from the planning department that's in the planning file and the staff report. I need to disclose whether I'm biased, whether I'm for or against the application for any reason other than the merits of the case, and I'm not. I'm not familiar with the parties or the property. I don't have any reason to feel one way or the other. Finally, I need to disclose that I have any conflicts of interest. I don't. I live in West Salem. I'm not familiar, again, with the parties of property. I don't own property in Marion County or have close family that owns property in Marion County either. If you haven't been to one of these hearings before, the way it's going to work is we will start with the staff report. After the staff report, the applicant will have an opportunity to present their case. Then anybody who's not part of the applicant's team but still wants to testify in favor of the application can testify. After that, if there's anybody who shows up, I don't think we have anybody now who's opposed, but if anybody shows up who's opposed to the application, they would have an opportunity to testify. Then staff would have a chance to respond to any issues that came up. And finally, the applicant have an opportunity for final rebuttal since you have the burden of proof. There are a few things I have to talk about for every case under state law and county ordinance. If you do testify, even though we know who the applicant is, please give us your name and spell your last name, and I'll swear you in when you testify, just so that shows up on the record. Please direct your testimony to the approval criteria. They are listed in the staff report. They are the zone change approval criteria of 16.39.050. Those are the only things I can make my decision based upon. Also, make sure you raise any issues you have with them. If you don't raise those issues, you may be precluded under state law from raising those issues in the future. If there are any further proceedings or appeals of this case. Also, the applicant, there are a few proposed conditions of approval. If you have any concerns about those, if you think they may be unconstitutional takings or anything like that, any other objections, make sure you raise those, or under state law, you may be precluded from raising those issues in the future as well. I think I will skip my spiel about everybody getting along and being polite. If you haven't turned off your cell phones, this would be a good time to do it. And unless we have any preliminary matters to take care of, any procedural or preliminary matters to take care of, it does not appear that we do, then we can turn to the staff report.
Well, thank you. So for the record, this is Ryan Dyer with Marion County. I'll summarize the staff report. So the property is within the Salem UGB and is designated commercial in the Salem Area Comprehensive Plan. The property is located on the east side of Lancaster Drive Southeast, approximately 330 feet east of Lancaster's intersection with State Street Southeast. The parcel is currently vacant. It does not have any frontage, but does have an access easement traversing an adjacent property to the west from Lancaster Drive. Adjacent properties to the west and north are zoned commercial retail and contain a mixture of commercial uses. Properties to the south are zoned commercial retail, multiple family residential, and single family residential. These parcels contain a used car dealership and single family development. Properties to the north and west are zoned commercial retail and contain a mixture of commercial uses. The applicant proposes to change the zone from commercial retail to commercial office and develop the property with uses permitted in that zone. Various governmental agencies were notified of the request and given an opportunity to comment. The comments of those who chose to respond can be found in item 4 of the staff report. In summary, the Land Development and Engineering Division at Marion County advised on the various permits that would be required for future development. The Salem-Keizer School District commented on the possible impact that residential development would have on nearby schools. The Marion County Fire District Number 1 provided comments regarding the applicable code requirements new development would need to meet, and the City of Salem noted that the proposed zoning complies with the city's comprehensive plan designation, and that the city would prefer to see new development on the parcel comply with their development standards. In this instance, the criteria for approving a zone change are found in section 16.39.050 of the Marion County Code and are listed in item 6 of the staff report. Regarding those criteria, staff found that the request satisfied the applicable comprehensive plan policies, that with the imposition of conditions requested by Public Works, there will be adequate public facilities and services available. The proposal is consistent with the intent of the general purpose of the commercial office zone. And finally, the proposed CO zone allows for less intensive use than the existing commercial retail zone. Therefore, it is unlikely that the zone change will result in any new development that will have an adverse effect on existing uses on surrounding properties. Staff recommends approval of the request, subject to the conditions listed at the end of the staff reports. That's it.
Okay, thank you. One question under, would be under 16.39.050A, just about being consistent with the Salem Area Comprehensive Plan policies. It's kind of going through them all, and I think the last one is, it says it in the staff report, and I think you got this straight from the applicant's narrative, that says the same thing, but it says commercial development policy number 8, buffer strips from residential uses shall be provided for all commercial development. And maybe I don't have the most current version, but the one we have here at the county and the one online from 2015, there isn't a commercial development policy 8. It looks like that might be similar to some language in commercial development policy 7, but.
Yeah, I have to look at that.
Okay, I'll ask the applicant about that
Yeah.
too, because I think you took yours directly, I think, from their narrative, so I'll ask them as well. And then another question under subsection D about using, having less intensive zones. Looks, again, I'm relatively new to Marion County, so it looks like there's 3 potential commercial zoning designation, or zones for the commercial designation. They want to change it from commercial retail to commercial office, and then I think there's a commercial general as well. Are those the only 3?
Yeah, that I can remember off the top of my head. Yes, correct.
And so, seems pretty clear here that CO is less intensive than CR, but what about compared to CG? It looks to me like it probably is, but I just wanted to double check on that.
Yeah, my impression is that that CG is actually the least restrictive of the 3, allows for the most.
The most intensive use.
The most intensive use.
That's what it looked like to me. I just wanted to get confirmation from planning, so thank you. So I think under D, they're not going to be changing it to, there are no other zones that would be less intensive, so I think they're good on D. And we don't even have to get to whether they'd significantly adversely affect adjacent properties. I think there's evidence that they wouldn't anyway, but I don't even think we need to get there, do we?
Sure, yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Okay. And the only other issue was the TPR, and maybe do you agree with the applicant's TPR analysis?
Yes.
Okay. Was there any review by transportation about that, or?
The Land Development and Engineering Department of the county would have had the opportunity to look at that, and there were no comments.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, the applicant, this is your opportunity to present your case. Yeah, if you just come to this chair here, and again, I'm not great at it yet either, but try to speak into the microphones. They don't pick up real well if you're not speaking right into them. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Good.
Yeah.
Great. My name is David Dodson. I'm the planning consultant working on this project. Last name is spelled D-O-D-S-O-N, and I've signed in with my detailed information in the sign-in sheet.
And I think I need to swear you in. So do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
And then with me is the client with J. Concert and Sons, Matthew Concert, and he may weigh in here as well. But essentially, we'll just summarize, the site's within the Salem UGB and is served by existing public water, sewer, and storm drainage. The proposed zoning of commercial office complies with the site's comp plan designation of commercial, and as you discussed with staff, it's definitely the least, I guess, intensive of the commercial zones that could be applied to the property. Rezoning the property to commercial office is consistent with the purpose of the zone, which is to serve as a transition between the residential, which is on the backside, and the more intensive commercial uses along Lancaster. The site has direct access to Lancaster through an access easement, and Lancaster is a well-developed 5-lane principal arterial road, so no residential neighborhoods are anticipated to be impacted from any cut-through traffic as a result of when the site is developed. A trip generation analysis, like you'd indicated, was prepared based on a reasonable worst-case, development scenario of the existing and proposed zoning. It concluded the proposed zone would meet the requirements of the TPR and would not significantly impact transportation facilities. So we concur with staff's recommendation to approve the proposal with conditions and outlined in the staff report. I will respond to the one issue you had raised about the policy number 8. Essentially, I don't have that in front of me, other than in the application materials we submitted. But we do intend to comply with all the standards within the zone that's being proposed. So if there's any buffering requirements, whether it's landscaping or setbacks or height limits, we intend to comply with all of those standards.
Yeah, it looked to me like there's a policy. It only goes through policy 7, at least, and
right.
And as long as the one that's on the website is up to date. I think it was most recently amended in 2015. I think it said.
Right.
But it went to. It only went through 7.
Yep.
Policies, and the 7th one does mention buffer strips. It's not exactly the same language that's in your narrative in the staff report, but
Yep.
I think your proposed findings would be at least
Consistent, yeah. What oftentimes happens, since we've done other projects in Marion County, is I use the boilerplate, and so it could have been an old citation, and so I apologize if I erred. It may have been modified since that time, but again, as I mentioned, we intend to comply with whatever the development standards are.
And a lot of those, even the ones you did mention, they're mostly geared towards the actual development rather than just a pure zone change. And I understand why you want to try to cover all your bases and address it. It's better to address one that you don't need to than vice versa.
Sure.
But so I think most of those you're fine on. I think maybe I'll just treat that as you guys raising policy 7.
Yeah.
And talk about the buffer strips and probably just address it like that.
That'd be
if that's
great for
okay with
clarity.
you.
Super,
Okay.
good. So, that concludes my presentation. Both myself and Matt Concert are available to answer any questions if you have any.
And I know you don't have your transportation engineer here. I was going to ask if you thought that this would qualify for an exception under subsection 9 of 660.012. I think it's 060. 060 sub 9, where it's an exception to having to go through the whole TPR process. But I think you're proceeding under that you don't significantly affect your transportation facilities, so you'll be okay. I assume you don't want to go into that without your.
Probably not. I think, I know transportation in general terms, but, in terms of the nuances, I can't speak to those. That would really be our traffic consultant, who we did not bring with us this afternoon, unfortunately.
I was just more curious why you didn't go through that other option that might be easier, but.
I see, yeah.
But that's not a problem with the way you went, so don't be
Yeah,
concerned.
we essentially wanted to be thorough and comprehensive, and so we figured we'd better to cover it than not, yeah.
And there are 3 proposed conditions of approval. Are you okay with all of those?
We are okay with the proposed conditions, yes.
Okay, great. Well, that answers all of my questions. Did you want to have Mr. Conzer testify?
Sure.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Matthew Conser, manager of J. Conser & Sons LLC. Last name is spelled Conser.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My family and I are the applicant. I want to thank you for hearing us today. And frankly, I've done so many Zoom meetings in the last 10 months, I had to come testify in person. Just to talk to people and meet in person,
I'm wearing shoes again for a hearing. It's nice.
Actually, I have pants on today. It's been shorts, so. So anyway, we want to thank staff for their expeditious processing of our application. We worked with Marion County Planning and Public Works several times, found them to be very responsive, efficient, and reasonable. And therefore we agree with and have no issues with the staff report. In fact, we tested the hydrants yesterday. It was fire's comment, so we were out there testing those. We are asking for what we believe is a very straightforward zone change, a commercial to commercial zone change, commercial retail to commercial office, no comprehensive plan amendment, and the newly permitted uses are all less intensive than the current zoning. This would likely mean less traffic than the permitted use in the current zone. 2 of the neighboring commercial property owners have offered their positive support of the project. They know that once developed, it will be a high-quality urban infill development. That's what we do. And this is a site where all the utilities are available and have sufficient capacity to serve any project type. Further, once developed, having activity and structures and people, it puts more eyes on the street. And this is a vacant piece of property. Development will reduce the trespassing issues and the trash dumping and the drug activity that often occur on vacant land that happen at this site. So neighbors are happy to see something happen. So we ask that you approve our zone change application 20006 and promptly forward it to Marion County Commissioners for adoption. And that concludes my testimony.
All right, thank you. Ma'am, did you want to testify, or are you just here?
It's my daughter.
Okay.
I invited her to come to her first hearing.
Okay,
So,
well, I didn't want to prevent her from testifying if she wanted to. Looks like that's everybody who wanted to testify. Mr. Dyer, is there anything you wanted to add? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and, well, actually, before we finish, so Mr. Dyer, you just suggested that this be forwarded to the commissioners for recommendation. It looks to me, Mr. Dyer, like since this is a zone change within the urban growth boundary and there's no comprehensive plan amendment, that I just make the decision on that. Is that different than how you see this happening, or?
I think that's correct. Sorry, this is, I would have to confirm with my director that that is the proper procedure.
And it seems a little confusing because I've seen in previous hearings officers what looked like very similar cases that they did a recommendation to the board. So I just wanted to see if planning had it. It looks to me under the code that it's pretty straightforward that I just make the initial decision and any appeal would be to the Board of Commissioners. But I wanted
Okay.
to ask planning about that, which would be good for you because it makes things go faster.
yeah, we appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we can close the public hearing. There was no request to keep the record open. We'll close the record as well. I'll get to work on this really quick. Again, nothing's final until it's written, but everything looks to be in order. This actually looks like this is exactly what they had in mind for having CO buffering between CR and residential, so everything looks great. I should have this done really quick and hopefully get it to you very soon. So thank you, everybody.
World record hearing. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Have a nice day.
You too.
Let's welcome today's guest, Hawkeye Pierce.